Now, I'm going to introduce a very dear friend of mine. She's a comedian and improviser, mother to a very cute cat, and she is actually a teacher. She taught me some of my stand-up, so if you didn't like any of the jokes I did earlier, you now know who to blame. I'm messing. She's so talented. She's amazing. She's what I would say my Jedi master. It's the wonderful Kate McCabe. Thank you, Kate.
Testing. Oh, it's working. There it is. Hello, people watching at homes, I guess, or other locations. I am Kate. That's the wonderful Ben. And I am an American, but don't be alarmed for two reasons. First of all, I am unarmed for all of our safety. And then secondly, I've lived here for about, 16 years now. Long time. So it's not like I've come over with exciting new variants or anything. We haven't moved forward in any of the Greek letters, anything like that. I do live here. I got here when it was cool. 16 years ago was around the last time it was cool, I think. And then I came over and ruined it. Ben did mention I have a cat, which is obviously just necessary as a lesbian. That's what I got for my wedding, was just lesbian presents, just cats. They just registered at Cats Trust. And I got thousands of cats. Does anybody here have cats? So obviously there's not a live audience, but there's people in the room that I can harass. Do you have cats? Cat? What's your cat called? Bud, Mrs. White Sauce, and Little Mister. Okay, so you've proved my point. What I was gonna say is, any name is good for a cat. You could literally name a cat anything, and that sounds absolutely perfect. Mrs. White Sauce? Socks! Okay, I thought it was like white sauce as in like Southern biscuits and gravy. Okay, all right. But also gross. So we have a cat, but you can name a cat anything. You can go like, this is my cat Pickles, or this is my cat, Academy Award-winning actress Gina Davis. And they're both great for a cat, very suiting. We named our cat after a character on the sitcom Arrested Development. There's a character that constantly shows her boobs called Kitty Sanchez. And so we named our cat Kitty Sanchez. She's a wonderful cat, but I'm going to do an impression of her right now for you. I'm going to put this down just so I can do the impression. This is an impression of my cat. I have my phone stored in the front of my pants because the pockets on women's clothes are so poor. So I'm just going to put this down over here. This is an impression of my cat, Kitty Sanchez, exiting the litter box. Okay, here we go. Exiting the litter box. If you have a cat, you know that they drag that litter wherever they go in the world. You could be sound asleep in your bed, cozy at night, and thinking, I don't remember eating granola in here. That's not a raisin. It's disgusting. I would get rid of her, but as a witch, obviously, as a lesbian witch, familiars are very expensive. Who would I watch squirrels with during the day if I got rid of her? She's too precious to me. Of course, I haven't been watching just squirrels. Like many of us that have been in lockdown conditions, I have watched hundreds, if not thousands of hours of British television. Really got cozied up to some soap operas. Hadn't really watched them. Ironically, soap operas over here, quite gritty for something called a soap opera, very realistic. I know, of course, why your soap operas are so realistic over here. It's because you get your fantasies fulfilled through another popular television choice, property shows. Property shows. That is everybody over here. That's your deep, dark fantasy, is to be a landlord. It doesn't matter what your religious background is, what your political affiliation is, where you are on the wealth spectrum. Everybody's secret shameful kink over here is to charge rent. Everybody wants to have a house. And there is a version of this, every possible iteration you can think of. I'm gonna buy a house, then I'm gonna sell a house, then I'm gonna buy a crappy house at auction in a depressed neighborhood and flip it by putting in a downstairs toilet. Then I'm going to buy a house in Australia. Then I'm going to grand design my dream house because I'm a rich prick. Then I'm going to decorate a house. Then I'm going to redecorate a house. Then I'm going to redecorate my neighbor's house while they're away as a surprise. Wow. And that's all before you get to the gardening shows. There's another 24 hours of landscaping programs out there. Oh, we all love it, though, that moment in the landscaping program where they tell the featured couple that they can have a tomato plant. They're like, yes, during that, there's an hour and 15 minutes where that patch gets sunlight. Did you hear that, Clive? They said we could have a tomato plant. Picture it, the two of us sitting out here with the fruits of our labor, enjoying soup. How wonderful. My wife's favorite of all these property shows is a little show called Escape to the Country. Have we seen it? We know Escape to the Country. This is my least favorite show because I have budget envy. Severe budget envy. This is an impression. This is my impression of any of the featured couples that go on Escape to the Country. Yes, today we will be featuring Barbara and Tony. Barbara, originally from A Kingdom in the Sky, is a retired duchess. Tony is made out of 24-karat gold. Yes, starting budget might be something around, I don't know, 750,000 pounds. But at a push, we could go to a bajillion pounds. Fantastic. I'm over here with 17 nectar points being like, can I get a toilet? My wife, her dream is to move to the country. My wife is very picky. You wouldn't know it by looking at me that because she married me, so she couldn't be that picky. But she is very picky. She's the only woman I know who would leave her own mother's womb a bad TripAdvisor review. Like, very claustrophobic. Not enough plug sockets. 1 star. Would not return. Her dream, though, is to move to the country. She would love to move to the country. And we met in New York City. Like 20 years ago, we were in New York City. And then she convinced me to move over here. We moved to the city center of Manchester, which is a great city, but we can agree is a smaller city. And now I live in the suburbs of Manchester. We've moved to the outskirts of Manchester. And so as you can see, she's very slowly getting her way. We are suburban now. We do all the suburban things. We used to do really cool things. We were city dwellers, go to jazz brunches. Now on a Saturday, the suburb things, like go to the tip. On a really good Sunday, we might get in the Skoda and go to that big Tesco. Ooh, so good. I tell you what I was not prepared for in the suburbs over here is the amount of trampolines that you guys have. This country is trampoline mad. Here's the problem. I don't think you can, as a country, have the proliferation of trampolines that you have and also run a nationalized health service. The two things just in conflict. The problem is, despite the fact, like if you put it to a public vote, like we can only have one. We can have the NHS or we can have trampolines. You put it to a public vote. I don't care how many times people came out on a Thursday night with pots and pans and painting rainbows in their windows. You know the British public, it pains me to say this, would vote something stupid like 52% trampolines, 48% NHS, and you'd call it something like break shit or something like that. It would be absolutely dreadful. But my neighbors, they look onto our garden and we look onto their garden. So we have very high fences, very polite, mutually agreed height, very polite but very high fences. Because obviously I don't want them to see our daily topless lesbian jump rope parties. Those are just for us. We want some privacy. So the problem is we've got these high fences so we can't see each other's garden, but they've got a trampoline and they've got kids. So anytime there's that hour worth of sunlight that gets the tomato plants, the kids come out and they're bouncing on the trampolines and they're not facing their own house. They're like bouncing on these trampolines and they're facing our garden. It's very rude. It's like, turn around, little children, but they just keep looking over. To be fair, this is what they're seeing back. It's like, and that's why I got kicked off my neighborhood WhatsApp group, which is a shame. I'm doing a time check just to make sure I don't overrun. There's a packed bill on today. I got 1 minute left. I'll do the closest I have to a one-liner, which is take about 45 seconds. So I've always wanted to have a cool portmanteau name. You know, that's like when you cram the two names of a couple together, like Benifer or Brangelina. And my wife is called Carrie, and I'm called Kate, and I want to have a cool portmanteau name. Hers is spelled Karey, so an interesting spelling, Karey. So a cool thing you can do with our names is Carrie or Kate. A friend pointed out, actually, don't stop there. You hang on to one more letter, Carrie and Kate. You could have karate, which I thought, oh, that's cool. That's our couple's name now. We're karate. But the problem is I got really excited by that prospect. I looked it up, and the literal Japanese translation for the word karate, empty fist. Two lesbians, a little on the nose, just a little too on the nose. Anyway, that's my time. Ben, I thought I'd leave the audience with a lovely, lovely fisting joke. So there we go.
That's what we love here at Sparklers. Kate McCabe, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you so much, Kate. Isn't she great? Isn't she brilliant? Honestly, I can vouch. She's such a great ally, and her wife have the cutest relationship that is only the goals that I wish I could have.